Absolute Emperor, Napoleonic Wargame battles at the multi-core scale. In my last video on this rule set, I said the smart play is to scale back and do just one core versus one core fights. Very true, that's the smart play. Today, we're doing a multi-core fight. Once again, we're tapping our good friends over at napoleonicscenarios.weebly.com. Link in the description. This is the Battle of Elchingen. What you're looking at is the Danube River. And, where's my map reference? There we go. That is Über Elchingen, and Unter Elchingen is over there. You can't see it just off screen, you'll see it in a bit, is Göttingen. And the other thing you can't see is that this line of this road right here is at the bottom of a slight slope. So if you're fighting over the road, the guys down here are at a bit of a disadvantage. Today we're looking at Marshal Ney doing the Ney going up against Karl Mack von Lieberich. The blue boys down here are trying to get across, and there's a whole story behind this. I should probably do like a quick strike AAR. I'm not going to go too much into the history. Of course, it's 1805, so the French are on the attack. And Michel Ney has been charged with taking the height. Those are his orders. Now, what that means in terms of Absolute Emperor is, I don't know, right? Clearly they have to, I think it's largely going to be a fight over this town here. Karl Mack von Lieberich has been tasked with defending this town, so from Absolute Emperor terms, that's his mission. He's got one corps already on the table, and what we're looking at here is a veteran infantry and a seasoned infantry. He's got one unit of artillery and another unit of seasoned infantry that is defending the town. It's already in the built-up area. This feller right here is, that's General Mack right there. Wait, where does the Austrian orders Karl Mack von Lieberich? Oh, Mack. We're just going to call him Mack, all right? Mack is the overall commander. And then over here we have, already on the table is von Lauden. And he's got, as I said, the two line infantry, one heavy infantry, and one cannon. Off in the distance over there, see if we can pan up and catch it. There we go. That is reinforcements. That is Reich. Reich? I'm just going to say Reich because it's easier for me. He has got 2 units of seasoned line infantry, 1 unit of veteran line infantry. Those were grenadiers. And if you go check this battle out, it actually tells you who's commanding each one of those. Yeah, 2nd Division. These are not, you know, the game is set for divisions. We're kind of downscaling. It's fine. It's a great scenario. It's fine. It'll work fine. Don't stress out about that. What do we got? So Reich is over there with his. No, I'm sorry. That's von Lauden over there. Von Lauden has 2 line infantry, 1 grenadier, and 1 unit of cuirassiers. Now, he's not coming in over there. He's going to be coming in either here or here, and I don't know when. Starting on turn 3, von Lauden is going to roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, he's going to enter this road over here. On a 3 or a 4, he'll enter that roadway up there. And on a 5 or 6, he's got to wait till the next turn. So that's the Austrians. These guys down here, those guys coming in at one of these 2 points, starting as early as turn 3, but could be never. Bear in mind, this battle took place in the wet, driving rain. I don't know if it was raining or not. These roads are muddy. It was raining the day before, I can tell you that. These roads are muddy, so they don't confer any movement bonus, but there's no penalty. The Danube is only crossable at this river, which is the key problem that Ney is going to face in this battle. And I should point out that I'm using my Prussian figures for the Grenadiers for these Austrians. They're a little bit darker in color. Don't take it personally, you fans of the Austrians, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's just that it's easier for me to keep track of unit quality when I've got some visual reminder. In this case, it's going to be darker uniforms for the Grenadiers. For the French, you've got Ney coming on south of the Danube, and he has got 1 unit of Grenadiers. In this case, the Grenadiers are rolled up fat and packed tight. Grenadiers, these guys that are more loose, those are seasoned infantry. The pack guys are Grenadiers. So Ney comes on with 1 seasoned infantry, 1 Grenadier infantry. He's got a unit of heavy cavalry and a unit of light cavalry over here. They start the board south of the Danube. They can only cross the bridge in column formation. Starting on turn 4, and that is General Loisson. Starting on turn 4, Mahler over here is going to roll a d6, and on a 4 to 6, he can come on anywhere within 6 inches of that. Oh, actually, he's coming on over here. Let me slide that down. That's where he comes on, within 6 inches of there, and then he is bringing with him 2 units of seasoned line and 1 unit of veteran line. He also has 1 unit of artillery. I think we're ready to get started with turn 1. No, we're not. I should point out one other thing. The Austrians are going to start the battle with an elan of 3 for this corps. The French have an elan of 4. So that means the French are forcing the Austrians to go first in every turn. The Austrians are going to come on. I just assigned von Loudon an elan of 3, and I also assigned Mahler an elan of 3 as well. So that gives the French a 1-point advantage. Now, I didn't balance these. I just used the orders of battle, and are these guys, this is Age of Eagles, maybe you guys can tell me. The step down from division, is that brigade? And should I be using the smaller, I'm not going to worry about it, okay? I think we're ready to get started. The Austrians are going to go first. Now, the Austrians got to deploy first, so they're already set up in the order they want. Their half of the turn is going to be nothing at all. The French actually come on this board down here within 3 inches, so something like that. And then, of course, they're going to do exactly what you'd expect here on the first turn. Let's zoom in. One more thing I got to explain to you guys before we get started. The Battle of Elchingen occurred in 1805, which means we are going to use the period and nation-specific rules. The French are so good at command and so motivated that they have a command radius of 6 inches. Whew, that's pretty big. The Austrians are kind of new at this style of warfare. Their command radius, the Corps commanders now, is only 3 inches. It's still an 18-inch. Oh, thanks for pointing that out. It's not 9 inches. It's 18 inches for the main commander, Mack over here, compared to Reich. Also, the infantry for the Austrian cannot use attack column. They haven't figured that out yet. They haven't unlocked that ability. And all their cavalry, pretty good. They reroll 1 failed hit on any turn they charge, in addition to any other extra rerolls of failed hits, because I think their heavy cavalry get to reroll 1 hit on a charge. So this year, they get to do 2. For the French, they infantry and attack column, this may be huge, they get to roll 2d6 dice on their charge attack, all infantry and attack column, and we're going to actually put these heavy boys in attack column too. I'll show you why in a second. Let's nudge them up. For turn number 1, everybody appears on the table. The cavalry, all cavalry for the French, reroll 1 miss in combat, not just on the charge. Any round they roll, they get to reroll 1 miss because they are super cool. So we're ready to get into turn number 1 now, and the reason I put these guys in attack column is because I want to shift them to line, and I want to bring them 2 inches over here. That is because these guys are going to help, you know what, let's shift them something like that. They're going to help support these guys as they race up an attack column. All right. Now, they don't have the range to shoot at this cannon over here. The cannon has canister shot up to 4 inches. Our boys can only shoot 2. Oh, no, that's terrible. Well, it's okay. These guys are providing some cover for these guys. As we move into the shooting phase, which comes after movement, we'll go ahead and start with the Austrian infantry first. They are in line. They get to roll 4d6. They are seasoned. They're hitting on 4-ups. With the 2 hits, that's what they needed. These guys are now halted, and they've taken 2 damage. On the other hand, the cannon is going to be firing at these guys. It's within 4 inches. That is canister range, hitting on 5s, and they can do 2 damage. We'll call it a 3 and a 2. They did no damage, but the important thing is these guys have been halted. The next phase is charges. And unfortunately for the French, with these guys being halted, There's nothing they can do. And this is the only possible charge. The Austrians don't want to charge. They want to stand there and just slow these guys down as long as possible. In my last game, I didn't have this unit over here. That was a huge mistake. Oh, by the way, they can shoot over here. I forgot about that. And again, because they are, well, we'll do all the French shooting. Because these guys are seasoned firing this way, it's going to be hitting on, they only get one hit. They're hitting on 4s. The veterans down here are going to be hitting on 3s. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. And even if they can't drive these guys off by charging, they may be able to, by combining fire, chase them off with just the gunfire. Man, if they get any more of that, one more result like that. Remember, they only have 8 hit points. With 4 damage in the shooting phase, they are not pinned. They are disordered. And then we go on to the charge phase. Halted, disordered. Now we go into, I think that's it, combat, but there's no combat to be had. So, wait. We're on to turn number 2. At the end of the command phase, here in turn number 2, neither of these commanders want to change orders. Nothing really much has changed. At the end of the command phase, all units not in combat improve status by 1 step. Disordered become halted, halted become fresh. So we are going to remove the disordered and the halted marker. And now we're ready to move back into movement. In this case, there's nobody that has any movement to do unless we want to kind of bring these heavy cavalry over so they're a little bit closer and a little bit readier, a little bit more ready to charge across that bridge when they can. Remember, they can only move across in march order, not flank. Very important. That's it for the movement. Then we move back on to the shooting. These guys are going to be hitting on 4s, and they get no hits. That's going to be a problem. Just because you're pinned, don't mean you forgot how to use your muskets and rifles and whatnot. The artillery over here is going to take a shot there. I don't think I pointed out they started out limbered. See how the cannons are pointed towards our boys? Yeah, they're limbered, faux show. And they do 1 hit over here. Not enough to really do anything shocking, not enough to slow them down, but you never know. That 1 hit might be huge later on in the game. Then it becomes the French turn to attack, and it's going to be a total of 4 dice hitting on 4s. There's 3 hits, and then it's going to be 2 dice hitting on 3s. You know, I might have rolled too many dice last time. 3, 4, well, 5 hits this time is going to wipe these guys out. Now, they got to make a command check, and with a 5, they do, so they saved the colors. And interestingly enough, the elimination of that unit means there's no charges to be had. Nobody is within charge range. So we end turn number 2. There's no combat. And we move on to turn number 3. Now, as I said, at the beginning of turn number 3, we have to roll a d6 to find out if von Lauden arrives and where. 1, 2, he arrives on this road. 3, 4, he arrives on this road. And on a 5, 6, not at all. So with a 1 or a 2, reinforcements are on the way. They have already moved. Corps commanders can move 4 inches. I started them at the board edge. I'm going to do the same with the reinforcements over there. Corps commander moves 4 inches up from front to front. Everybody's got to stay within 3 inches, so the cavalry here are in flank march. Actually, they can probably, remember, they got to stay within 3 inches. So they can move up to 8 inches, and that means up to here if they want, which they do. They're going to come speeding on over, and then they are within 3 inches of that guy. So the grenadiers are here to the south, line infantry, line infantry. The Austrians have to move first. The question is, what do they want to do with this artillery? And I think the answer is you have to limber them up, and you have to move them. Yep, they are limbering up, and they're heading for high ground. Boom, that's all they can do for right now. And then I think we gotta maintain these grenadiers up here on the high ground. We'll put one below. We'll kind of block it off like that. I think that's really about the best we can do on the part of the Austrians. In attack column, and remember, you got to be in column to move across. Our grenadiers can move 3 inches. They can get across. Now, because they start in attack column, they got to finish in attack column. And we'll bring these guys into, the spacing is just crazy here. And do we want to bring our heavy cavalry across to get stuck in over here? I think you got to bring your infantry are going to, once again, he's going to move 2 inches, 2 inches. We'll drop him over there just to get him over the river. We'll bring those guys into line, and we'll bring our flankers up a little something like our cavalry up a little something like this. Why are these guys facing the wrong way? And that's really all the movement that we can do here on turn number 3. Then we're in a situation where we are within 2 inches of the built-up area, so there can be some gunfire right there. But I think that's the only gunfire we have, and it's going to be 2d6 versus 2d6. The Austrians are going to do no damage to those grenadiers, and the grenadiers are going to roll, let's double check. They're going to roll 2d6 because they are in column attack. You know what? Doesn't matter. You're fighting a built-up area. They're going to do 2 damage, and that is going to pin those guys right there. So, Ober, is it Uber or Ober? Ober Elchingen is going to have to weather that storm on their own. Then, are there any other shooting? There is not. There is no other charging. So the big boys are going to, and I'm just going to put them right on the border right there. They are in attack formation. Because they've charged, and I think again, because they're charging, attacking a unit in built-up area, it's 2d6, and that's all there is to it. Are there any other charges? No, because there's no counter charges. We're not going to have to roll for any kind of activation. All we're going to do is roll 2d6 versus 2d6. The defenders are hitting on 4s, so they score a hit. And the attackers are, that should be a 4, are going to have no hits whatsoever. This goes up to 3. And that doesn't, hurt them in it. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't hurt them. It's a ouchie, it's a boo-boo, but it doesn't pin them or anything like that. And the pinning is not enough to disorder these guys. So that's it for this turn. Combat, we did our results. No worries. We're on to turn number 4, which means we need to start thinking about good old Reich over there on the eastern side. On a 4, 5, 6, he will appear this turn. He does not. We'll check again at 5. The muddy roads have just slowed him down way too much. Austrians still have the lower Elan. No! You know what? Come to think of it, the Austrians have 3 Elan here and 3 Elan here to just 4 for the French. So the French have to move first this time, and they're going to adopt the attack column for this infantry and move up to here. Then we're going to move this cavalry, has to assume march, and then we'll just stay in flank right here like that. So these guys are at least ready to move into march. Oh, boy, what a choke point, right? Man, those clever Austrians for putting the French behind the 8 ball like that. Now we're going to move the Austrians, and the first thing we're going to do is move the Corps commanders. This guy's going to race along the wet, sloppy roads. My boots. Get my Batman ready. This Corps commander is I don't know. He's going to swing around this way a little bit. Remember that when you're defending the town, you have to stay within like 4 inches of it, but also within 3 inches of him. So we'll kind of cheat him over this way so we can do what we need to do with those guys. And our artillery are going to move up to here, and they are still in, whatchamacallit. They're still limbered. Next turn, they'll be able to unlimber and start shooting at these guys as they come across. That's really the best thing for them, I think, because they have to hold out. There's no time limit on this battle. Bear that in mind. With all our commanders have moved, then we're going to move these guys 3. Well, is there any reason not to keep them? Oh, in March column, they can move 4. Given the distances, I think we're going to leave them all in March. And so that's going to be 4 inches to here. And it's going to be 4 inches now to here. And then this last little unit that could is going to be able to move 4 inches up to there. And I think, oh, forgot about that cavalry. They have to stay within 3 inches. We'll go ahead and put them in flank and wheel them around to something like that, to where they are ready to engage on the next turn. Yeah, looking pretty good. Then the French are gonna, they've already gone, so we're into the shooting phase, and we're good. So here's where we gotta think about what this build, oh, I forgot to remove that. They're not pinned. In the command phase, that doesn't make any difference for them. So we gotta take a look at these guys, are the only ones that are capable of shooting. And it's gonna be, so we gotta figure out, this is our center line, right? So I don't think they have a shot at this built-up area, because they're all coming in from this side, and this built-up area is already engaged in melee. I don't think there's any shooting. I think the French are in a little bit of trouble because these guys clearly don't have a shot out, but they don't have a shot in because of the melee. Already we are done with shooting. So the next order of business is going to be charge. And these guys are going to have to charge like so. And what that means is the built-up area boys are going to get to fire, are going to get to attack twice at these guys, who go up to 4. Man, that feels wrong. It feels like they already took 4. And then they're going to roll 2 dice to attack these seasoned guys and get no hits. So now we've got 2d6 here and 2d6 here. We'll roll for the gung-ho boys first, hitting on 3s, and get nothing. Well, not so gung-ho are you. And then we'll get a total of 1 more hit, which only takes the defenders up to 3. Hey, French guys, what are you doing? What are you even doing? They've only taken 3 hits so far. Man, Reich, you gotta get in here, bro. That's it for the combat. Nobody suffered any negative effects. It was just, the 1-1. So we're done with the turn, aren't we? Yeah, we are, which means we got to roll for reinforcements on a 4, 5, or 6. Reich shows up, and he does. Here's Reich coming on board. He has to appear anywhere within 6 inches. He could probably come up here, but all of his troops can only come on 6 inches. So generally what we're looking at is 3 columns moving 4 inches of infantry moving 4 inches up, trying to get into into the upper land so that they don't have that 1 die penalty. And then the artillery comes on here. And, oh boy, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, no, I think that'll be fine. They move in, they unlimber, ready to shoot. Those are their 2 movement actions. And I guess, because you have to show which way they're pointing. That way they can at least get a shot off at these guys. By the way, what I did here is, in the command phase, the Austrians have the advantage still, the elan advantage. The French have to move first. On the next turn, because we've got both of our commanders, it'll be 7-6. 7 to the French, 6. And so once again on the next turn, and turns don't matter at this point, because we're just going to fight this out to see what happens. The French will have the elan advantage, at least, if they don't lose it. Wow, I'm a great host. They'll have the advantage unless they don't. Ah, shoot, I keep calling him Reich. That's Mahler. Mahler is on the table, and Loisson is he's in a bit of a difficult bind right here. I've already moved him. The only guys that can move are, of course, Loisson himself, who's hanging back in the rear. Good call. The cavalry, however, in order to get across the bridge, they have to be in column, which means they've got one turn of extreme vulnerability. Now that they have moved, that puts the onus on the Austrians. Do these guys pivot around and charge into the vulnerable cavalry, but risk exposing this whole, letting these guys march through virtually untouched? One thing I know for sure, this guy is right where he wants to be. The cannon are going to unlimber and be ready to fire. And then, so the question is, what do we do with these guys? And I kind of think, let's go ahead and this is our chance. This is light cavalry. We're going to pivot around in line. Remember, we got to stay 2 inches away. But we want to take advantage of them while they're still vulnerable. These are the heavy boys. And then we got to look over here where we've got the choice now. This cavalry is already within 4 inches. Oh, they could have charged the last turn. They just weren't quite ready for it. Likewise, they're just 4 inches away. So we can, if only the Austrians could use attack column, they could get to within 3 and charge these guys in attack column. Unfortunately, the best they're going to be able to do is form line and move up the 2 inches a little something like this. And unfortunately for them, they are like 2 1/4 inches. They're just outside of charge range. In fact, they're just outside of rifle or gunfire range as well. These guys are also going to form line, and they're going to line up something like this. And then we're going to leave room for the horses to come through. Now, ideally, I think maybe we'll bring these guys. We'll bring him up just out of the way. And then we'll bring these guys in line, and we'll move them a little something like this so that they're ready to follow up. And really, I think that's about the best we can do. Nobody over here is doing any shooting. These guys are going to go ahead and charge. Well, since they're going to be charging into these boys, let's go ahead, put them in line. Heavy line charging. I know I said I wouldn't do that. What can I tell you? I lied. These guys are going to be able to charge in line and do some serious hurting on this seasoned line. The cavalry here are pretty fresh. This is going to be interesting. We're into the shooting phase. Since the French moved first, the Austrians are going to shoot first. And we've got 4d6. Am I forgetting anything on these Austrians? Infantry cannot use attack column. That's it for them. All right, so they're going to be rolling 4d6 shooting at this light cavalry. Hitting on 3s is going to be 2 hits, and that's going to pause this cavalry right where they're at. 2 hits, and they are stunned. As I said, they're all out of range. There's no more shooting here. We do have a couple of cannons that can shoot. This cannon is within 12 inches. And this cannon is within 12 inches. Do they get a bonus for firing at the flank of those guys? He's got to fire at one of these 2 units. We'll just pick that one for no reason at all. And it's going to be hitting on 5s, maximum of 1 damage. And don't do nothing. No, they don't. Hitting on 5s. So the French are at least able to drop. Well, wait a minute. You know what? They don't have a line on those guys, and they're too far away. This French battery. Oh, man, that was a clever move after all. Because that French battery does not have a shot. On the next turn, they're going to have to limber up and move if they want to get into position. We are done with our shooting phase. Now we got to be doing some charges, actually. The cavalry here are halted. They cannot charge, but these guys can, and they're going to swing around like so to make contact, and that's going to be interesting. This cavalry is going to charge into the flank of this infantry, and we're going to line them up like that, which does some stuff that may come in, may be important later. I mean, we could probably, and I mean, honestly, if our built-up area extends an inch, we might have been better off just saying, you know what, let's leave them in flank. Yeah, because these guys are shifted too far over. Alternatively, we can kind of shift these guys over to the center and say, yeah, they're attacking that wall, and then they're susceptible to the flank. And honestly, I don't know what difference it makes at this point. I do know this is a much better situation for the Austrians. The judge's ruling, and by the way, this is the judge. On a 1, 2, 3, we leave it like this. On a 4, 5, 6, they have to be in flank. 4, 5, 6, they got to be in flank. So these guys are shifted over, and the French, now that we've thought about this better, are going to be hitting them in flank, which may be better for them. But be that as it may, I want to roll the French attack on the built-up area first. It's going to be 2d6, hitting on 3s for 2 hits, and it's going to be 2d6 hitting on 4s for another 2. So 4 hits altogether. These guys only have 1 hit left. And to mark that, I'm going to put 2 dice down. 6 plus 1. See, it's a d6, and it's plus 1. Those 4 hits in combat are huge, because if you're in combat and you take 3, that infantry unit has to recoil a half an inch, and they become disordered. This unit recoils a half an inch. They abandon the built-up area. They have been forced out. Because these guys are engaged in combat, are otherwise engaged, and I need a red to show they're disordered. Because these guys are already in combat, they don't have the option. This grenadier unit takes the town. They still have 4 wounds, so they're still vulnerable. Not only that, but these guys get to roll 2d6 to attack, hitting on 4s. They get the 1 hit, which knocks them down from veteran to seasoned, and then they get to roll 2d6 attacking these guys and get 1 hit, taking them up to 2. Then this cavalry unit gets to do their attack here, and a cavalry unit that is fighting in, is charging. Remember, that is a heavy cavalry unit. They get to reroll 1 missed attack. And because they're Austrian, they get to reroll 1 missed attack. They are hitting on 4s, and they're attacking infantry not in square. Let's see, they, where we go? Cavalry rolls 2d6 in squadron, plus 2d6 because they're hitting an infantry in square, plus a d6 because they charged. And so it's 5d6, hitting on 4s. A total of 3 hits is going to, that's the 4th hit altogether, actually. Oh. Takes them up to, the 3 more hits takes them up to 5. That's 4 hits in this turn. I almost forgot. Because these guys took so many hits, they have to make a waiver test. Because they failed that waiver test, that means they have to make, and oh, by the way, because they've taken so many hits, they only succeed on a 5, they have to make a save the colors check, which they also fail, which means they've lost their colors, and this guy's elan goes down to just 2. And to 2. Come on now. Oh man, fat finger in it big time here. 2. And Loisson, who is that? That's von Louden, and this one goes up to 5. Ooh la la. How about that? And then we are, they should be a half inch outside of town. And they're going to push Mack just that little bit back. Again, these guys have taken 4 hits in melee, which means they have to recoil a half an inch, and they become disordered. So we'll recoil them, we'll swing them even, kind of as best we can, and we'll bring them back outside of town. They become disordered, and not only that, but I almost forgot, they get to re-roll these to see if they do more hits. They did another hit. Oh man, which means these guys are hurting big time. Not only that, they got to make a waiver check at 5 up, which they fail. Save the colors, which they fail. And that means, all that time I spent moving these around. And this goes back up to 3, and that goes back down to 4. So they're just trading colors. And both of these units are now removed as a fighting force. Neither one of them could save that all-important flag. These guys, because they wiped them out, make an immediate charge 8 inches ahead, which puts them bang into these guys. And we're going to kind of, told you these heavy cavalry were vulnerable. And the question then is, do we resolve that immediately? Cavalry that are successful, this combat takes place immediately. All right, so we're still going to roll 2d6 because they're only in flank attack. Or squadron, rather. 2d6 for squadron, but they get a plus d6 because they are, because they are charging, and they are hitting on 4s. And then these guys are only going to roll 1d6, and they don't get that bonus for charging. So we'll roll for the Austrians first. They are going to get 3 hits altogether. Don't even need the reroll. These guys are only going to roll 1d6, and at least they're going to get the hit. They don't need the reroll either. And man, it's really falling apart for Ney here. 1 there, 3 here, and with 3 hits in combat, they infantry recoil, cavalry withdraw, and become disordered. What if they don't have any? All right, so they have to, and then these guys back off 4 inches. Wait, a successful combat? Oh, they didn't destroy it. They did not defeat them. They didn't destroy it. So these guys are going to have to come back 4 inches to here. And this heavy cavalry here, after taking the 3 damage, are going to have to 3 hits cause cavalry to withdraw and become disordered. So they're going to have to come right back across the bridge. Now, I want to point out that this is all very abstract. What has really happened here is, these guys were able to successfully wipe out a unit and ride through. There was a swirling melee here, but it became confused, and these guys were thrown back across the bridge. They maybe never even made it across the bridge. That's all that happened there. We are finally done, I think, with all of our attacks, all of our combat, all of our whatever. End of the turn. Any cleanup we got to do? No, we haven't done this one yet. What am I talking about? We got an infantry that successfully charged a static cavalry. Now, normally they would get a chance to countercharge, but because they took a couple of shots, it's going to be in trouble. The infantry rolls 4d6. Oh, but they don't get a... Wait. Infantry not in square versus cavalry. Oh, they're going to roll 1d6 total. What? Oh, man, I wish I would have noticed that. Because they're not in square. And then cavalry attacking infantry. 1d6 total? Oh, geez, that might have been a huge mistake. At least they get the 1 hit on these guys, taking them up to 3. And then these guys, because they are in march order, they're going to be hitting on a 4, and they get 1 hit as well. And that's not enough to really do much of anything. Except, oh, here's where the benefit comes in. Because they won that, these guys are forced to retreat 4 inches. So this cavalry has also been thrown back across the bridge. That's a fair trade, I think. Because until... It's going to be hard for these guys to get across. Now we're finally done with the turn. They're not going to have a follow-up. The next order of business is our line is unchanged, which means the Austrians now have to move first. And we're going to bring this Corps commander. Wait, that's our French Corps commander. Yeah, he's just going to kind of hang out right. Let's tuck him over there. And remember, he can't be attacked or shot or anything like that. We're going to bring these guys up. They cannot form flank march, so 2 inches is as far as they can move. We're gonna squeeze you out of the way a little bit more. So they're gonna wind up coming up to here. I think, why don't we? Oh boy, we'll bring these guys up 2 inches to about there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Because we're gonna bring our grenadiers to hold the bridge, and then we gotta hustle. You know what? They can't move within 1 inch, within 2 inches of that. So unfortunately, they're going to have to charge. They're going to have to turn to face this way. They're going to have to take this. Oh boy, this is going to get really confusing really quick. Where's our leader? Yeah, he's fine. Man, all right. Do we chart? We're gonna bring these guys up to here. We gotta retake this town. We'll pivot these guys. There's no shooty, and we're gonna put him in line. So we'll move him. I don't. He's got a range of 18 inches. He's fine. We're gonna put him in line so we can really make this count. Cavalry charging a built-up area. I know. Ease up, guys. Ease up. And then we'll bring these guys up to fill in whichever gap we need to. Bring him over there. I know. Just okay. So the Austrians are now done moving, and we got to figure out what we're going to do with our French. Let me slide on over here so we can see them all. And like I said, these guys are going to have to limber up and move 3 inches to get into better position. That's all they can do. We're going to bring the Grenadiers are going to swing around this way, still in 4-inch movement. And then we'll bring these guys a full 4 inches up like that. And these guys are going to go ahead and come up to the road like that. That's about all we're going to do. They're just racing over. And, of course, he can move 4 inches, so he's going to be right there. And as long as he's within 4 inches, 6 inches rather, yep, we're good on that score. So the question is, what do we do over here? And honestly, I think we leave them. We got to leave these guys here until, maybe that's the thing to do, is bring this guy like this. Because once we get some more action in here, we may be able to bring the cavalry into play. But for now, we just really can't. We are into the shooting phase now. That's it. Oh. There's our command. We are into the shooting phase now, and it's going to be putting a hurt on these guys. We've got 2d6 hitting on 3s. That's 1. We've got 2d6 hitting on 4s. That's 3 more damage, and that is actually going to wipe these guys out. But the good news is these guys are going to get to fire twice here, hitting on 4s. So this goes up to 3. They might lose the town, but they're not going to go quietly into that night. And they're going to get 1 hit on this heavy cavalry. And they're going to get another shot on this infantry, and they're going to be able to do 1 more hit. Because they are wiped out, we need to roll to see if they save the colors. Only on a 5-6. On a 4, they do not. So we'll take them off the board. And we will go up 4... here, And we will go down to 3 here. And that's where the shooting ends. No, that's not true. This cannon still has a shot. Oh, man, it does not. They needed to pivot a little bit smarter. There's nobody in that line. Oops moment on my part. But we really are done with the shooting now. And we might be done with a lot of stuff, come to think of it. Unless we want our cavalry to charge across the bridge and have to roll 1 die against these guys. I don't think that's smart at all. After shooting his charges, but there's nobody within any kind of charge distance. The next thing we're going to do is move, we'll just move right on to the next turn. There's no combat, so we're into the command phase. And with a score of 7 for the Austrians, the French have to move first. Okay. It's time to run these guys. That gun is a real problem. Do we want to stay in... We're going to go in attack column so that we can get to... Oh, we're not... Are we within 2? We're outside of 5 inches, so we aren't even going to be able to get in. All right, so we're going to go... No, wait. We are within 5 inches of that. Oh, we are just on the verge of 5 inches. So if we go to attack column, we're gonna take a real beating if we try to take that gun. We got to. We don't have much choice. These guys are gonna switch into line, like so, and move 2 inches up to here. We'll put them kind of like that. We're gonna bring our cannon 3 more inches, and then we'll unlimber facing that way. And then these guys are going to go to line, I think. And we're going to have to sweep across something like that, leaving just enough room. Or do we want to go... Yeah, we're going to go attack column here as well. So that both of these guys... Well, is he within 2 inches? He's not. Since he can't, we're going to leave him in line. No, we'll bring him up. We'll bring him in attack, and we will just take the extra inch of movement there, so that we'll have a much easier time getting around this way. The cannons can shoot at each other. These guys are within range, so it's gonna be cannon shooting here, hitting on 5s. Both dice hit. That is 2 shots. They are stunned by the grape. Hey, what a surprise! The French are stunned by the grape. Who would have thought that the grape would turn a Frenchman, would hold him in his tracks. Then we have, because they're in column of attack, they're going to be rolling 2 dice to hit the cannons. Is that right? We are in attack column. Combat is going to be... No, wait, shooting. Infantry. They shoot 2d6. And is there anything else? I thought there was a thing about shooting uphill. Yeah, you're only going to get 1d6 because you're shooting uphill. So it's going to be hitting on a, what is it, a 5 for these guys, which they hit. And then it's going to be hitting on a, hitting on a 3, hitting on a 4. So we get 2 hits. And then this guy is going to roll 2d6, hitting on 5s. And there's going to be a total of 3 hits on that artillery. And this artillery is now disordered. They have a total of 4 hits, of which they have taken 3. And then it's going to be any other shooting we got. Oh! Why am I doing shooting already? I didn't do these guys' movement over here. I'm getting so excited by things over there. I'm forgetting this whole eastern flank. We're going to put the grenadiers inside the town. And they're going to just hunker down and say, come at me, bro. These guys are going to move 2 inches like so. And they're going to start shooting across Then we're going to put, these guys are going to go into line, and they're going to race off like this. And these guys are going to go in line, and they're going to race off this way. And with a command radius of 3, I guess we're going to have to drop him right about there. And with only being able to stay within 3 inches, what do we do with these guys, huh? Do we want to bring them... we'll put them in line, and we'll kind of swing them around this way for now. That's really about this. I think that's probably the smart play. And what that does is it does allow for one more chance of shooting at 2 inches. It's going to force these guys to cross 2 inches, roll in 4d6 at that heavy cavalry. 4 hits is huge. I'm sorry, that's light cavalry. 4 hits is going to disorder them, I want to say. 4 hits in shooting on 4 hits cause them to become disordered. And that's it. All right. Now we got all the shooting done and the moving. Hey, how about that? Cavalry, they ain't doing much for shooting. The charges come next. And as I said, we've got a 2 inches here, so we're going to move into combat like so. Nobody else can charge at this point. The combat up there is going to be ugly. The artillery, the infantry or cavalry attacking an artillery unit, roll 2d6. Grenadiers hitting on 5s, or hitting on 4s. That last hit destroys the artillery unit. The artillery in combat, they just roll 1d6, and they don't get any hits. So they are wiped out. And I think, do we check for colors on those guys? Yeah, why not? With a 6, they save the colors. How about that? And we are, I guess the headquarters is sitting there in the monastery. Did I point out that's the Abbey, excuse me. And I actually have a really cool, look at it, see? The Abbey. Look, I got a little church. This is great. So there's your Abbey, there's your prime, your main HQ. The French main HQ is down there, and I think that is it for this turn. Let's see if we can get through this next turn all in order. The command phase. So they are no longer halted. These guys are halted. The advantage is still to the Austrians. The French have to move first. Since these guys are halted, they can't move. We can at least pull these guys back out of gunnery range. And then, man, that 1d6 coming across the bridge may be vital. I think these guys are going to take it on the chin. Then we can bring these guys in line and wheel them around like this. French moving first. We're going to bring the leader up to 4. He had an elan of 3. It's 3 and 3 versus 4 and 3. These guys will come up 2 inches to here. We'll kind of like that. And then these guys, if we put them in line, they can move 2 inches, and we're going to kind of shuffle. That one comes off. They were not disordered. They were only pinned. And I think that's pretty much where things stop for the French. Except this guy, get your act together, Mr. Gunn. He's going to limber up and he's going to move 3 inches to there. We may wind up bringing him up here. We'll see. The Austrians are going to form line over here. And we'll bring this guy 2 inches to there. So they are now 2 inches apart. And they've got that done. These guys are going to come around like so to hold that bridge. These guys are, there's not enough room for them right there. We're going to have to leave. We'll bring them up Well, that guy can only move 2 inches. We're gonna split the difference. So we're gonna put him in line like so. We're gonna move him 2 inches to there, and admittedly, there's not much to that. He's got to move up to here, keeping everybody in 3 inches. And now what, cavalry? You know, they're kind of swinging around, and this is probably realistic, right? Oh, maybe there's something. Nah, there's nothing going on. We're going to cruise over this way. In fact, that's what they're going to do. They're going to turn back into squadron, or they can move 8 inches, right? So as long as that, if they go in a line, they can do something like this. And they can swing all the way over to there, which they may need to. All right, let's just pause for a minute, take stock. Mahler moved, Loisson moved. You know, he's fine where he is. He's still got his range of 6 inches. Reich moved. Reich was and von Lauden moved. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy. Movement is done. Now we can do some shooty. These guys are too far away, but we've got a gunfight going on here. Those guys are too far away to have any artillery on the part of the Austrians. So we'll just do this gunfight is the only one we got right now. And it's going to be 4 dice hitting on 4s. So that's 3 hits on the Austrians. And it's going to be, likewise, it's going to be, oh, I should have rolled these where you could see them. It was 3 hits on the Austrians and 2 hits on the French, which halts both of them. So we go up to 4 damage for the Austrians. 4 damage to the, oh man, I need to get some of them tweezers. And then we said it was 3 hits over here. No, it was 3 there, and it was 2 over here. And 2 hits is all you need. You're now pinned. You're now pinned. And that means we don't have anybody capable of charging unless we want to go 1v1 right here. Or right here. You know, we could do that. They're hitting on 5s and they're hitting on 4s. Oh, in fact, you know what? We actually have another shot right here. It's shooting at these guys. Hitting on 3s. 3 more hits is going to bring these guys up to 7. But 3 hits is not enough to trigger any kind of a check. They remain halted. And 3 more hits takes them up to 7. So unfortunately, they can't even get out of the way in time. 2 dice on them, a d6 plus 1. And then maybe we want to go ahead and charge anyway. I mean, heck, well, they can't charge, can they? Yep, so we're done. Nobody's going to... Do these guys have to charge? I don't think they do. Nobody's going to charge. There's a lot of red dice on the table, but they're all fairly low still. And I think we're done with this turn, since there's nobody that can charge. We move on to, it's getting to be about lunchtime. We're going to pull all of these off. Nobody's pinned anymore. The French still have to move first. And they can't move. We'll bring the... we're just going to chase him out of there. We're going to put these grenadiers are going to seize the abbey, which is upstairs. Their goal is to take the high ground, and then we're gonna chase this guy out of here. Hey. In fact, whose forces are his? The only forces he's got left on the table are these 2, so we'll just put them there so we remember. His forces are here. Oh no, the only forces he's got left on the table are these guys. So I'm gonna pull him around, kind of back here. This guy, Reich, he's got to stay right there because he's got Bang, 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 and bang. All right, he's got his reinforcements. In fact, maybe we'll just put him right here in the town. Maybe we'll put him in the town since his fort. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll put him right there, and he's got 4 along. All right, and maybe we'll just leave this guy right behind the town. So he's in town. He's behind the town. These guys are up here and in the abbey, and then I think these guys are going to move up 2 inches to like so. Okay. Now do we want to have? All right. So these guys have to stop within 1 inch. These guys have to stay within 3 inches of the boy, their boss man. So well, as long as they're within 4 inches of that town, they can charge in. We're going to leave them down here. They ain't charging uphill against the wall of the compound. That's not going to happen. And I'm going to tilt up just a bit to show you. There we go. All right, so where's our gunnery going to be? Well, we're going to do the French shooting first. The French have a shot here, and they have a shot here, and they have a shot here. Nope. French need to move this guy. He's coming around to here, and that's going to be 6 inches, and unfortunately he is still limbered. He can't do anything. I'll point him that way to show that he's limbered. And now we're going to have 2d6 hitting on 5s, or 3s. 2 hits is going to burn those guys right there. They are now halted. That's the only, I mean, I guess they can fire. I'm not going to let the towns fire on each other at all, even though they're kind of close enough. Just not going to do it. There's no way they're going to have a whole lot of effect. But I do have 4d6 shooting into the built, or 2d6 shooting into the built-up area, and with boxcars, that's going to be 2 more hits, taking these guys up to 5. Of course, they're not charging out of the built-up area anyway. Then we're going to have 4d6 firing down here, hitting on 4s. And 3 hits is going to just pin them. But it also takes them up to 7 damage. So they are. Wait, yeah. Oh no, these guys right here they're sitting on 7 damage, and they are pinned. But they do get to shoot back. So hitting on 4s. It's going to be just 1 hit. Oh, that is unfortunate because you're about to get charged, bro. And then we're going to have 2d6 shooting back here, hitting on 4s. A 4 and a 5 is going to pin that unit, and they go up to 4 damage. And then what else do we have? We have 4d6 firing into, no, it's 2d6 firing into the Abbey, hitting on 4s. A 1 and a 3 ain't gonna do it, Chief. Then we have to do our charges. This is the only charge we've got. And that combat is going to be pretty nasty for these guys. Because the infantry in line, they're both gonna roll 4d6, but these guys, the Austrians are only hitting on, and I'll roll over here so you can see it. The Austrians roll 4d6. And they're only hitting on, because they have so much damage, they're only hitting on 5s. So that's 1 more damage here. They go up to 4. The French, on the other hand, they get 4d6. And they are hitting on 4s. So with that, these guys are out of the game. On a 5 or a 6, they save the colors, and the elan swings back in the favor of the French, as that elan is lost. Because this is the unit that we're going to give him 1, and because he fought off this guy, he goes down to 2. Right? Yeah, this leader is the one who loses it. So the French are now up 7. He's down to 2, huh? It's 6 to the Austrians, 7 to the French. So in the next phase, command phase, Everybody's good. Now it's going to be... Oh, you know, I guess they probably had a shot at these. Oh, no, because they would start off back there. That was after the charge. All right, I'm hip. I'm ready, baby. The Austrians have to move first. They can't move. These guys are... with them taking that, that forces these guys to swing around and move 4 inches, which is going to put them... We'll pull him over. No, he's got to stay right there. That 4 inches is going to put him right about here, I guess. Probably should have just left them over there, over here, until they had a charge available. Main commander swings around back here. The Austrians are... That's all they can do. I mean, unless we want to pull... Let's go ahead and pull these guys around this way just to make it clear what's about to happen. Then the French are going to bring him up. This cannon is going to finally unlimber like so, but it's not going to make much difference. These guys are going to wheel around like this, and I really think that's about all that's going to happen, because they're about to charge into the rear of these guys. Now, in fact, because of that, the Austrians probably need to swing around, recognizing the danger to their rear. They have to swing around this way. And it prevents them from shooting, but at least they're not going to get charged in the tail, which means we're going to swing these guys around a little bit. I know I'm kind of flitting around here a little bit, but, solo wargaming, we can kind of do that. Trying to think for 2 people, trying to keep you guys entertained. You get it. I don't know why I even say these things. You guys are smart. I don't need to explain that stuff to you. We're all done with the movement unless these guys want to do something dumb and get stuck in, which they do not. It's time for shooting. There's not a lot of shooting. There's going to be 2 shots here, 2 shots at those guys hitting on 5s. 2 shots will do it. This big boy now has 2 wounds. And then we got 2 shots over here hitting on 5s. Those are both misses. Then we got to shoot back. It's going to be 2d6 shooting back. It's going to be 1 more hit here, which does not pin them, so they are going to be able to charge that built-up area. And then we're going to have 2 dice shooting at these guys, and with no hits, it's an embarrassment. These guys have a line of shot through there hitting on, 5s. 1 and a 2 isn't going to do it. And then we have, I think, these guys are going to fire twice here, and they're going to do 1 point of damage, which is not enough to pin them. But they would have to charge this way anyway. Are they in charge radius anyway? Nope. In fact, they're not in shooting distance either. So, unfortunately, that strong point is going to be rough. Rough. We're all done. Then we do our charges. These guys charge up to here. These guys charge up to here. And then we got to do our combat. So, it's going to be 2 dice with 1 hit puts these guys at 4, which is fine. And then they're going to attack back, hitting on 4s. 2 hits is going to put them at 4, which in melee is fine. I mean, you're pinned. Wait, in melee, what happens with 2 hits? In melee with 2 hits, 3 cause you to recoil. 2 is not going to do it. But they're battered. And then down here, we've got 2 hits. The Austrians are hitting on 4s, and they miss. The French are hitting on 4s, and they get 2 hits, which takes the Austrians in town up to double dice. They're not doing so hot, and I think that's it for the combat. Yes, it is. On to the next phase. The Austrians have to move first. He's really got to swing around up here, so he keeps... Oh, you know what? These guys are in command. I keep forgetting these guys are in command because they're close to the Corps commander, the overall army commander. The next thing we're going to do is the Austrians are going to recoil a little bit, 2 inches. These guys are going to set up like so. And then what do you want to do with these guys, huh? Do you want to turn and try to take the town? Yeah, and not only that, but we're going to turn like this. Because then these guys can finally move their 4 inches, and we're going to bring them up to here. And, you know, that might have been a mistake. Nope. They finally get across. And are they within 2 inches? They are not. Haha. So, light cavalry gets across, out of shooting range. Everybody has moved. And it's time for shooting, which we don't have a whole lot. In fact, we don't have really... these guys can shoot. 2 dice at the town. They only hit once. But that once is enough to kill the unit in the town. The town shoots back, hitting on 5s, and does 1 damage to these guys, which takes them up to 6. There's a 6. And then charges. The only charge we have is that these guys move into the town. They force him out. And then we have, well, these guys, they only charge 4 inches. They don't have enough room. Then we have a combat up here. It's going to be 2d6 for the Austrians. They get 1 hit, and the defenders get 2 hits, which takes these guys to 6 and these guys to 5. But it doesn't force any checks of any kind. Control it. Wow. Yeah. This is looking good for the French. Finally. Is that the end of the turn? What do you think, guys? Charges? We did our combats. Moving on to the next turn, the Austrians have to move first, and really the only thing we can bring these guys into line, and we'll bring them up like so. But you know, they only move 4 inches, and they're gonna get. So what we'll do is we'll bring these guys around. We'll bring these guys 2 inches to like here. And I guess we're gonna bring him around there. All right. So what that's gonna allow us to do is take a pot shot at the town. Okay, so that's the Austrian movement. The French are going to put these guys, now that they're over the river, they can... These guys are so battered. We're going to put them in flank march right here. And it's really going to come down. Man, I wish there was a way we could get these guys... You know what? We can, actually. We can bring these guys 4 inches over to here. If nothing else, it gets them out of the way. And they're still in march column. These guys are going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I think these guys started back there. I think that's the best we can do. Because then we can put these guys in attack column, and we can protect that cavalry like so by swinging these guys around to here. Bear in mind they're 2 inches away, but that allows these guys to fire 2d6 at these guys, and hitting on 4s. Yeah, but, oh no, they're hitting on 5s actually, because they have so much damage to them. That doesn't do them any good. Then there's no shooting back. These guys get to shoot twice, hitting on 4s. They do 1 damage to that cavalry. And then, since they shot at the cavalry, these guys are going to be able to fire 2 dice, hitting on 4s, and a 1 and a 3 ain't nothing. And that is all the shooting that we have this time. They shot, they shot, they shot. They shot this way, and that's really it. Then we have a combat up here. The hitting on 4s, the French miss. Hitting on 5s, we get 1 hit, taking them up to 6. So the Abbey is still under fierce assault. We don't have any other... Oh, we do have a charge here. But what we're going to do is they have to make a successful check. They only charge on a 5. So they don't charge. These guys make a successful check on a 3. They don't charge. These guys are going to try to charge in line, and they don't charge either. So nobody moves. Everybody's staring at each other over there. And that is the end of the turn. We already did the combat up here. So... Austrians have to move first. Nobody really can move except these guys sliding over. That's going to allow this cavalry unit to snake its way over behind, like so. And then these guys can form line. Oh, look at that. In fact, they can form... They're going to form line and they're not going to do nothing because we already know what they're going to do. They're going to form square right there to keep these guys honest. And I hate to tell you guys, but I got to call it right here. We'll finish out the turn at least, okay? To see what happens, because we got some stuff we can do. We can do some shooting here. 2 dice out of the town is going to hit once on these guys. In fact, these guys might be the deal breaker right here because they're still really fresh. We're at 1 there. And then it's going to be... They're not shooting. We got to wait because if they charge, then we got 2 shots at these guys. Well, wait a minute. We'll wait and see. They do 1 hit that takes them to 6. And you know what? That's what we're going to do. These guys are at 6. These guys are going to take all 4 shots. They're going in line. They only have 2 hits left. They're hitting on 5s. And with those 2 hits, these guys are driven from the field. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Then we're going to do this combat up here. These guys, since they're driven, these guys can charge into combat here. And, then these guys can now charge into here. Yeah, boy. And I'm just going to do it. So we got combat up there. And it's going to be 2 hits, which wipes these guys out. But they attack the town, and they get no hits. So with these guys gone, and now it's over. The French, so I'm glad we fought it out. I think we can all agree that with the French controlling both the Abbey and Obererchlingen, and the only unit left to the Austrians is this unit here. Now they're fairly fresh, but they're going to have to contend with 1, 2, 3 divisions of infantry and 2 divisions of cavalry. That's the end. We're going to call it a victory for the French, but a costly one. These units are exhausted. There was a hard-fought battle, and as you can see, we've got 6, 5, 7, 6. They are barely hanging on, and even 4 here, they are barely hanging on. But Mack sounds the retreat. Hey, listen, guys. You guys keep it. I'm going to bring these guys home, get some rest, and we'll try to hit you later on. The French are able to cross the Danube, and in fact, I think historically, this is pretty close to what happened. The day before, Ney got in a fight with Murat. Murat, go figure. So Murat's somewhere down here, and tomorrow he can come up and reinforce. Call it a French victory. Very historical. Very cool, very fun, very complicated. Another long video, but some of you guys seem to like this. I like it too. Very interesting game. So glad to get back into Napoleonics. Hang out with me next time. Until then, I'm praying for you.